All right. Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our first of hopefully many series of webinars between SEIDOR, Horváth, and Corporator. Today's webinar is regarding the National Resilience Index. Hopefully today we will talk about how the Resilience Index, the National Resilience Index, how it could be implemented for your organization from a consortium point of view, where we take all the complexity for you. The purpose of this webinar is to show you an end-to-end delivery of this Resilience Index from a point of view of creating the framework for you, digitalizing it in a digital twin, and the best practice of implementation. Just some couple of rules. Obviously, as an attendee, you won't have access to a microphone or a camera, but you will be able to send any questions during the course of this webinar. We have a section at the end of the Q&A where we will be able to answer all your questions. And the webinar will be recorded. And after the webinar is finished, we'll be sharing both these slides as well as the video session. So your presenters today, yours truly, I'm Youssef Najim, I'm the Sales Director of SEIDOR. With me, the speakers are Kai, Mohammed, and Tahir. Kai represents Horváth, Mohammed and Tahir represents Corporator. Each one of the speakers will have a section where they will present their company and the solution that we are providing. So for the agenda today, initially, Kai will take us through the Resilience Index framework. Followed by that, Mohammed will give you an introduction of Corporator as a solution, as a digital solution for implementing this framework. And Tahir will show you a live demo of how the solution works and give you some idea of how the user interface is. Then I'll come back and I will give you some implementation best practices and how we are able to implement this solution in Corporator and best practices and our experience. Then followed by that, it will be the Q&A session. All in all, it should be a 45-minute session. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now, Kai, if you can maybe take over.
Yes, thank you very much. So hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kai, I'm a Senior Project Manager at Horváth, and I'd like to present to you our Resilience Index framework, which we have built and developed based on the National Resilience Index. First of all, I'd like to introduce also my company in case you do not know us. So Horváth is a global management consultancy firm. So we do have more than 1,400 consultants in 18 plus countries actually today. And we do consultancy business for more than 40 years. Our founder is Peter Horváth, who actually invented the controlling for Germany and for most of the European companies. But over the years, we also developed quite a huge footprint in GCC. So we do have offices in Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai, with also many colleagues living in that area. So actually natives and also Arabic speakers. You can see a couple of logos there. You can see more logos on the global risk expertise. So we've done risk management consultancy business for also many decades of years. And we have clients all over the globe, international clients from different areas, fields, and also industries. And what we'd like to do today is give you a little introduction of how we do risk management, GRC, and especially resilience. This is why we brought you a little overview of 3 basic steps to, let's say, to reach business confidence. So first of all, you have the transparency step. which you can see hopefully in the next slide in a second. And there, the goal is to have each and of all of the individual GRC functions ready and in place. That means that we, for example, have an enterprise risk management, we do have an ICS, we have a BCM, but also all of the others ready and in place, and they work, let's say, as designed. The next step for us is really about resilience and being resilient. So what you do is you connect one or the other function. We'll show you some example. And what we've also learned from the Saudi National Resilience Index is, first of all, targeting, for example, the ERM, BCM, and connect them also, for example, with the crisis management, so that those functions start working together, that they have combined committees, for example, but also reports. And to do all of that, you, of course, need the right methodology. So, for example, you need to focus more on the critical assets, more on the operational continuity. You have more stakeholders and you have expectations, and especially cases of disruptions you need to handle in combination of those functions. Ultimate goal is being confident, talking about business confidence just a little, because it's not focus of the resilience index itself, but you all do also performance management. For example, you have strategic goals and so on, and this is for us the ultimate goal, to have the GRC functions in the center and then the goals on top. So you have your corporate strategy and all of the individual GRC strategies aligned with that. And that is, of course, just possible with state-of-the-art technology. So without technology, it's basically not possible. And why would you do that? You can see it on the next slide. So you have different key drivers for resilience. Those are also, let's say, incorporated into the National Resilience Index, but you have uncertainty all over. You have your own conflicts in the area, but you also have crises, wars all over the world. You have the US tariff wars, Taiwan conflict, just as some examples. There are many, many more. But all of them, let's say, have an impact also on your company and on how you do business. Of course, it's getting more and more complex. This is nothing new, I'll tell you. Complexity is a key driver as well, but also regulators and stakeholders. So you do have, for example, the government is having some individual goals. You have your own goals, you have, but also you do have clients, some other stakeholders, the society, but also the typical regulators you can see here. So of course, an ISO certification is a huge goal that a company wants to achieve. And to do that, you need to also follow the National Resilience Index. On the next slide, you will see a little overview of how we worked with it. So basically, the Saudi National Resilience Index is based on 113 metrics, and those can be broken down and can be clustered into components and objectives. In total, this applies to government entities, but also to, for example, financial institutions, and also the private sector is working more and more with it and has to follow in time. In Europe, we do have a similar trend. It's called the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and that is also a regulation that most of the financial institutions have to follow. And same goal here, being resilient against uncertain events, for example, and always continue. This can be achieved by integrating governance, policies, procedures, for example, but also focusing on emergency business continuity. So you need to have an effective risk, emergency business continuity, and crisis management, so that you can always work well and continue working, or in case it's actually stopping your process. For example, if you have a data center in your building and it has to be shut down, then you might need to have a backup system in place. And all of that is also what you can see in another overview. So coming from strategic resilience to operational resilience, And you can see it on the next slide that we have resilience. Also, the National Resilience Index is separating that. So coming from strategy to operations and break it down. So how to stay effective and succeed for the next 10 years, for example, but also to identify critical assets, how to improve performance, how to stay ahead of your competitors. And this can be done by having an early detection, but also agile adaptation system in place. And this means that you understand your risks, that you can navigate with them in confidence and leverage risk as strategic advantage and also include it into your strategic decision process. And to do all of that, I'll show you now as last slide from the framework concept, an overview how it could look like. So on the top layer, you have the individual GRC functions. They are highly interconnected. They also work with performance, with strategy. They consider the goals and targets set by your board, by the government, for example, and you identify, determine, and assess assets, processes that are relevant. You have the right risks on your radar, let's say, that you can play with risk scenarios, that you can do a testing and simulation, and actually this enables you to know that you are always capable of managing and handling risks well. In the end result, you have, of course, the GRC, that is the connecting function, but you also have strategy, performance, and many data points that you need to integrate. And talking about that data center again, or a technology you use in your company could be used, for example, in a crisis management or in a crisis, the technology could be a key asset, or in the ERM system, you do have a risk that is actually linked to the data center, which is maybe without a backup system right now, or you need an AC to cool it down. So this is all something you need to be aware of. And all that risk information will be integrated and put into context. And how you can do that, you will see now in a second, presented by Corporator and with their state-of-the-art technology.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you for interesting slides. So I think we will take it from there. First of all, I'm honored to be part of today important conversation about resilience and the resilience index. And actually, I would like to brief you about Corporator and actually the digital twin technology and how it plays a critical role in organizing the resilience index framework. And actually combining all of these components that actually Kai highlighted in one integrated platform. My name is Mohammed Hassan. I'm the head of GRC for solution practice for Corporator. Next slide, please. So I think I will start very quickly about introducing the firm. The Corporator is already founded in 2000, and actually they already evolved into a trusted global provider for business management solution. It's one platform and comprehensive business management platform, which is actually supporting the resilience index framework by gathering all components in one place. So I think that our clients and business user no need to collect or multiple tools. Now we have one single integrated system. Also, we are providing unified unlimited configuration options, which is actually gathering all of these components, which is the resiliency component, in one place, and you can do your specific configuration based on your needs and requirement. Also, Corporator is actually, we are very proud that we have a global footprint with almost 12 offices around the world, and we are proud to serve more than 100,000 users in more than 50 countries. in different industries. And also we are keen to keep maintaining our security scoring by have a very good scoring with Vera Code security ranking as well. Next slide, please. So moving to the concept of the core component of Corporator. So we have one integrated business platform that actually combining governance, performance, and risk and compliance in one place, and is not limited to this, but also we integrating the other resiliency component, as Kai mentioned, which is actually the business continuity, asset management, critical assets, critical business process, even the IT infrastructure as well. Starting by the governance, which is actually, it's a very important to provide or establish intelligent governance framework that actually promote the decision making for the leadership, and the performance, which should be aligned with the governance to provide enterprise-wide performance visibility with a smart KPIs in order to be tracked and monitored. In addition to that, the risk actually platform is allow the organization to have interactive risk exposure by have interactive risk registers that actually providing you a real-time monitoring on the risk management, and to be proactive more than reactive in mitigating any kind of critical risk. The last one, which is a compliance, we are supporting this by having a very interactive compliance platform, which is a very unified, gathering all international or industry standards in addition to the national regulation, which is actually demonstrating the compliance maturity level for the organization. Moving to the next slide. So our platform is actually, as we already highlighted, is a unified platform. We have more than 40 out of the box customizable solution, which is actually allow everyone to have an immediate value for your business and needs. And also our platform is actually operating in a low code, no code environment. So now you can, without writing any single line of codes, you can apply any kind of needs for both domains, the IT size and the business users as well. And also the platform offers infinite configuration options, so you can digitize the business model according to the resiliency index framework component that already highlighted in our previous slides. Also, we are providing a data integration. So we have our own ETL tool that actually consolidating the data for multiple systems in one single source, and we are very flexible from the model that we are providing, either SaaS or on-prem model. This is actually adapting your infrastructure requirement and landscape, and we are database agnostic, so we are integrating with any type of database technology. The last one, we are supporting the Arabic interface, and we have our Arabic support team to provide any kind of support required for our business users. Next slide, please. So our platform this is actually like some screenshots from our platform capability about that we are gathering everything, all the component of resiliency in one integrated ecosystem. So we provide centralized view like enterprise risk, automate the compliance tracking, align with the strategy with operational KPI, and actually embedding the business continuity into day-to-day operation. So the platform is supporting everything in one single platform to give you a more insights and real-time decision making. Next slide, please. So our platform is actually a responsive design, so where you can access the system from desktop, from tablet, from smartphone, so the user experience remain seamless with the full function, and it's actually working in a full functional mode, and actually it gives you a real insights and decision making tool to make any decision anytime, anywhere. Next slide, please. And also, this is actually will be my last slide. We are proud to be acknowledged by the top global analyst firm like Gartner, Wheelhouse Advisor, GRC 2020, and others. This is actually the recognition that give you the confidence and trust about corporator integrated platform, that we are comply with all kind of international standard. I think this will be my last slide. Thank you for your time, and let's move to the most interesting part, which is actually the demo about our operation resiliency. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mohammed, for that introduction. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now. All right. Thank you, Kai and Mohammed, for that overview on the resilience. Coming to our Corporator platform, you're going to be looking at a screen which shows you multiple modules within Corporator, right? This is just a subset of the modules that Corporator supports and provides. As we learned from Kai, that operation resilience cannot be achieved in isolation. It is basically a collaboration across the multiple modules, be it risk management, business continuity, incident, compliance, all of them put together. Our vision as an organization is basically to bring all of these modules and processes together on one single screen so that you get a very good overview about the actual resilience posture of your company. So from this main screen, if you look at the multiple modules, now each of these modules have a very detailed and a very comprehensive workflow altogether. However, if I were to drill down into operation resilience, we try to break it down in terms of a framework to show you what are the high-level requirements from a resiliency perspective, right? Of course, you want to be able to take a look at your high-level resilience overview across the organization. You may want to dedicate a dashboard just for the important business services that you're operating with. You'd want like a full-fledged incident management process and a workflow to manage any incidents which could interrupt your resiliency. And of course, from a pillar standpoint, you want to take a view on how my different pillars within the organization is functioning. So let's start off with a quick overview of the resilience. So when I go into my resilience overview, Corporator is fully flexible and it allows you to create multiple dashboards catering to your different requirements. Now, every framework aligns to either an objective or a function or a service or a product. So Corporator can fully align with that and give you dashboards dedicated for each of these entities. Of course, if I were to drill down into my services tab, so depending on the framework you're operating with, if I'm trying to align my operation resilience framework with the services that my company is offering, then you can have a laundry list of all the services added in the system itself. And if I were to drill down into an example of a service, you will notice that we provide a very comprehensive coverage across the board, end to end from a resiliency standpoint. So I'm looking at a mortgage disbursement process, maybe more relevant from a banking standpoint, but it doesn't have to be a financial industry. It can also cater to other industries as well. So on this main page, you will see that we're not only capturing the high-level details about the service, but we're also capturing some important components with respect to resiliency. You may see that we have a primary impact tolerance captured because every service can have a primary, secondary, and a tertiary impact, and we can align the service in accordance to that and also perform scenario testing in alignment with that as well. What becomes most key from the monitoring of a resilience standpoint is any active incidents that may have occurred related to the service. So Corporator is fully flexible to account for that, and it can capture all the incidents, what are the open actions we are trying to monitor to mitigate these incidents as well. And the beauty of the platform is how it is able to bring together all the details from the operational level, because every service is linked to multiple entities. It could be related to processes, it could be related to people, process, technology, data, or even can be used to showcase the dependency on your third-party suppliers as well. Now, depending on how all these pillars are operating, you will see that we have a vulnerability and a recoverability score, right? We show you what was the last status of the vulnerability and the recoverability score. We show you what is the current status, and we also show you what is the trend that is occurring in terms of comparison from the last time to current, which kind of gives you an indication of where your service is heading towards in terms of forecasting. Now, depending on the framework you're operating as well, some frameworks require you to kind of assess your service and the importance of a service on an annual basis. So we give you a full workflow enabled platform where you can perform your important assessments, you can perform your dependency mappings, validate and reiterate your impact tolerances for the service, perform a very comprehensive scenario testing, and of course, be able to do a self-assessment every year. So the system has full capability to remind you that you've not performed if any of these steps. It can send you email notifications, escalate those if it is not acted upon in a timely manner. As you can see, we also have a very flexible flowchart capability where you can break down the service into multiple processes and sub-processes, and you can not only break it down, but also calculate the vulnerability and recoverability posture of the individual sub-process as well. So this gives you granular, detailed information to understand where your service is most vulnerable or where your service is not recoverable from your recoverability controls perspective. And of course, at the bottom of the screen, you see the most important information, all the pillars on which your service is operating on, be it process, people, technology, facilities, data, and third party as well. And if you see for each of these elements, we also capture the vulnerability and the recoverability coverage of that respective pillar. In terms of being able to assess how a service is important to organization, Corporator has full flexibility to kind of design questionnaires and surveys. So this is an example of a survey that was done last year on this particular service, where you can have a set of questions, and these questions can be broken down into multiple domains and perspectives. So we have a customer perspective, company, market, and depending on the responses to each of these questions, Corporator can calculate and indicate if this particular service that we're looking at is important or not, right? So once we have understood that this service is important to us, then the system will mandate the user to kind of go into the next level and perform all the dependency mapping, right? Now, this is where the whole system comes together. So we have the service in the middle of the screen, and it captures all the dependencies across your entire company. It could be IT infra, non-IT infra. It connects them together. And if you see on the top of every card, we have a color code, which indicates the status of that particular entity. So this becomes very powerful because you're not only saying that a service is operating effectively or is resilient or not, but you're also able to pinpoint exactly where your failure points are. So just by looking at this, I know I have a lot of red areas which I need to focus on and maybe take some actions against them. In terms of impact tolerances, now, every framework defines these differently, and our system is flexible to adopt these tolerances in accordance to the framework that you're operating with. But as an example, we're showing the flexibility of how we can capture these different tolerances, be it customer, firm, or market. And under each of these categories, you can have multiple tolerances because a service may be exposed to external customers and internal stakeholders as well, and you may have different tolerances for each of them. So you can capture each of these tolerances, run them through a workflow, get them approved as well. So very powerful in kind of catering to and managing all the impact tolerances across the board for a particular service. And of course, why are we doing all this? So that we have all the data points necessary. And in the end of the day, we want to be able to perform some kind of a scenario or a stress test or just a proactive test, just like how you would do an exercise in your business continuity plans. Similarly, you would want to perform a scenario test on a particular service. So Corporator allows you to perform multiple scenario tests. And within each scenario test, you can have multiple scenarios that you can test, right? And each of these can be acted upon, test against a particular impact, see how many of these scenarios fail, and it kind of gives you a good overview of how flexible you are to kind of meet the resiliency index for a particular service, right? And these scenarios can be manual or they can also be automated using our flexible ETL platform. We can integrate with other tools, bring in data live, and these scenarios can be automatically tested on a regular basis just to make sure that your organization is staying relevant and resilient as you go through the journey of business improvement, right? Uh, Outside of the scenario testing, as mentioned on my first screen, Corporator also has a full capability for performing self-assessments. Now, this could be done by the owner of the department or the service, where in every year, the system creates these self-assessments automatically, allows them to go through all the details of that particular service, make sure that the dependencies are up to date, make sure that the impact tolerances that is captured by the respective service owner is accurate. And if it requires any update, of course, they can update it from the screen. Make sure that if there are any new scenarios that need to be tested as a part of the current year, they can include those scenarios as well. And we kind of sort of get like an acknowledgement from the service owner that this has been vetted and updated so that we are not missing out important details and information as we go through the process of the service itself, right? Moving back to the screen, so this sort of completes the cycle for your resiliency, but there are a lot of supporting elements that are important and required to make sure that you stay resilient, right? Which is basically your incident management. Any open incidents related to the service is basically taken care of here. And all these linkages to the respective incidents can indicate your resiliency factor and the health of your resiliency for that particular service. You can also connect business continuity plans if you have any for the particular service. And of course, Corporator has full flexibility to design reports so that you can extract important information related to the service and the resiliency of the service too. We can do reports in PDF, Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, this in essence kind of covers the overall objective of the resilience index itself. But I just want to show you one more important view, which is what we call the pillar view, right? So you, as I said, every service is dependent on people, process, and technology. But from a technology standpoint, if you want to look at which is the most important server that I have, or the most important system that I have, which is catering to multiple services, we can highlight that by using the highly dependent resource, depending on all the parameters that are there underneath it. And for that important resource, what is the vulnerability and recoverability score, right? And from here, I can identify my points of failure, which could be most critical for an organization. Now, you're looking at this from a technology standpoint, you can view the same picture from a people, data, process, and third-party perspective as well. So it's very powerful to kind of look at the underlying data and map and measure how important they are, from a resiliency standpoint to your organization. Right. Of course, outside of this, any custom dashboards that you may require or any custom workflows that you may require to kind of adapt the framework that you leverage in your organization, we can totally customize that and adapt that framework into our platform very seamlessly. Now, of course, operation resilience, when we talk about, is a very broad topic because there are multiple global regulations, local regulations, which provide different frameworks. So if you kind of wanted to deep dive into the resilience demo, more than happy to kind of set up subsequent sessions with you guys. But I hope that this small session has given you a good overview about how we are operating and how we want to cater to the resiliency automation process. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'd like to hand it over to Yusuf for the next slides.
Thank you very much, Tahir. Hopefully by now you have, let me take a pause here where hopefully by now you would have realized exactly the benefit that you will get. Obviously, the resilience index is something that is becoming an important topic in the region, and hopefully by now you realize that with Horváth you have your resilience index framework that they worked on, that they can help you with this. But as we all know, digitalizing any framework or any processes that you put in place, it's a difficult thing, because obviously when you go through the framework, you'll have to then find a technology that actually can handle this framework, and at the same time any technology that comes needs proper implementation. So by now you would know that the idea that we came up with, the three of us, SEIDOR, Horváth, and Corporator, is that we manage all that journey for you. You don't have to deal with the complexity that I just explained right now. We do the framework for you. We provide you with the digital solution, and we implement it based on best practices, which is what I will run you through very quickly in the next 5 minutes here. So us, SEIDOR, we're a global system integration company. We're proud to say that we've been around for more than 43 years now. We also exist in 45 countries, which mirrors our partners, SEIDOR and Corporator and Horváth. So we are able to leverage our people, which exist around the globe, where we have different competency centers around the world and locally here in the region. We're considered one of the, and being originally a Spanish company, we're considered the top 5 largest service company in Spain. And we were very proud to be partnering with Corporator and Horváth. In terms of what we offer, briefly, I'll just run you through what us as a company, what we do. Again, we are able to not only help you with the resilience index, but also anything that comes with that journey where you need which Mohammed has briefly mentioned regarding integration with other systems, managing your data, whether it's flowing into Corporator for the resilient index or outflowing into other reports and services. So in terms of our expertise, we have a clear focus on AI and cutting edge technology. We manage your experience both from a customer point of view as well as an employee point of view with various technologies that we partner with. In terms of management, we manage all your SAP ecosystem end to end, and alongside that, anything to do with data from all the way from the data chain from ERP all the way to consumption, and all of that surrounded by the GPRC through Corporator. In terms of evolution, we help you with your digital transformation and your cloud migration, and also we have a specific interest in the network and connectivity more globally than in the region. As I said, we have a global footprint in these 45 countries. We're proud to partner, and we're we try to be as objective as we can. For us, the customer is the most important element of our journey. So we do partner with multiple technologies, and we try to make sure that our customers are served by the right technology for their requirements. As you can see, we're a platinum partner with SAP. We're a proud partner of Corporator, delivering most amount of projects worldwide. So far, we have delivered 17 projects so far with the solution. We're also a gold partner with Microsoft, and the list goes on. These are just few of the customers that we have implemented the solution of Corporator, whether it's in the resilient index or whether on individual GRC components, as well as the performance and strategy management. In terms of our project approach, like I mentioned, it's very important that when you find your resilience framework, the right framework for you, and you find a solution for it, it's very important that you implement it the right way. And we have best practices based on our extensive experience in the solution, not only in Corporator, but we also bring best practices from other technology implementation. And in this, we adopt an activate methodology, and we add a blend of agile. To run you through very quickly through the activate methodology, there is 5 elements to it, where you start with the prepare, where we initially sit down with the customer, we decide on the project committee, steering committee, project team, project sponsor, and so on. Then we move on to the explore phase, and this phase is very important, where we sit down with your stakeholders, we look at the requirements, we do sessions, and we make sure that we come up with a blueprint that is very clear, and it defines our journey to go live with your solution. In this phase here, as I said, we have implemented the solution for 17 projects so far. So we don't come in with a blank canvas. We come in with our best practice. We help your stakeholders articulate themselves in terms of what they need to see. We're not only we bring in best practice, but also we bring in graphical interfaces for the customer to also see and feel the user experience. And once we finish with the explore phase, we go into the realize, where we start implementing the solution for you. And it's very important that it is an iterative process in terms of communication with your stakeholders. So in this phase here, we have various iterative process where we meet with your stakeholders, and we make sure that we are going through the right journey and whatever we agreed in the blueprint. Then eventually, once we arrive to the end of the realize, where we do the testing and UAT, and again, I will run you through a slide where we have a specific framework for this process. Then we basically go into the live and we deploy the solution with you on the right environment. And then we don't stop there. We give you post-go live support, and then eventually we provide a AMS or short, which we call short support, going forward for the next years to come. In terms of implementation, we have been very successful in presenting or in implementing the solution both on offsite and on-site basis. We work with you and we manage your cost effectively in terms of total cost of your ownership. We've been very, very successful in implementing the solution both for public as well as private sector on a remote basis, and with some visits during UAT and also during the blueprint phase. So we will work with the team, and we're quite flexible in terms of requirements for each customer. In the prepare phase, we are in terms of governance of the project, we make sure that everything is clear. Everybody within and we look at it as a joint venture rather than a supplier and a customer. We look at it as a journey together as a team. We become one team to implement the solution, and we're very clear in terms of making sure that who is responsible for what. And obviously, as you know, if there is no clear responsibility and RSC is not developed and defined properly, things might fall under the crack. In terms of governance, as I mentioned, we define a steering committee for your project, which will meet on a monthly basis. We have, as part of the Agile, we have a weekly checkpoints for PMOs, but also we involve your business in those calls. We have a weekly highlight report from our project manager, as well as your project manager as well. We have a clear escalation in case of, as you know, any project will have its challenges. So we have a very clear escalation hierarchy that is provided to you, where you know exactly how things are. And obviously there is an SLA attached to this. And we define with you a project plan, very clear, initially an initial project plan, high level, and then we define the milestones of delivery so that any sign-off that is done with you, which is very important for you as an organization, any sign-off is very clear based on clear deliverables and clear milestones. In terms of change management, we know that sometimes things change. The project might take 3 to 4 months. Sometimes it might take 6 months, depending on what you want to implement. And we know that organizations are rapidly evolving. So if there is any chance of that during the project, we're quite flexible, and we have a very clear change management process where we define it with you, and then we get the right approval from the project sponsor, and we clearly define for you exactly any change request, what is included in it, and what is the objective of it, and what's the purpose, and so on. In terms of testing scope, like I said, we have a very clear process of plan, design, check, and report. So when it comes to UAT, for example, system integration testing, we're very clear on our process there. But also when it comes to the user acceptance test, we also have a very clear process, and we help your businesses to make sure that what they're testing and what they're signing off is very clear for them. In terms of support, we provide the support in various ways. We can provide you, after going live, we can provide you with application managed services, where we manage your system end to end. My colleagues mentioned that Corporator operates both on SaaS as well as on premise. Now, the implementation, you might want to protect your implementation in terms of defining the management service of the solution, but also sometimes you might require to do some enhancements and all of that. So we provide you with either call of days, or we can provide you with the on-premise resource that could be permanent in your organization. We basically can manage any requirement from you depending on some public sectors, for example, where we require to be on site for the duration of the 365 days. In terms of dashboard, this is just Tahir have shown you a little bit of a flavor of how Cooperator is. This is just some of the examples of how we have implemented the solution in the region, just to show you a flavor of how the dashboards and reports that obviously are responsive that you can see in any device. Few of the customers that we have implemented the solution for, both here in the region as well as in Europe. And as Mohammed said, Cooperator, which is unique in this one, and I can say that with confidence, that it's very flexible in terms of adapting from English to Arabic. It doesn't require a source code change. It's very flexible, and we have implemented it for some organizations in Arabic as well as in English. I think this takes me to my last slide. The session for Q&A is open. Dana, or maybe Kai, are there any questions in?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
we do actually have 2 questions for now. So first question is, how do you measure resilience success, and what are your KPIs or metrics? So I think this one is actually targeting myself. So Yusuf, if you could go to slide 10, please, that would be great. Because there we have shown the National Resilience Index, and what you can see there, that we have 113 in total. This one, yes, thank you very much. And those metrics are very broadly spread, so they are focusing on ERM, BCM, and crisis management. And all of them have or could be rated. So what we've done also here is we developed an assessment, and that actually tells you in the end how mature are you in the matter of the Saudi National Resilience Index. So each of the question or metric has a variety of options to answer it. You can see them on the bottom, and in the end you get like an ultimate rating of it, and this is what is called the level of readiness. So actually you cannot really target one directly, or you cannot exclude individual metrics, so you always have to answer each of them, and then you get a final rating. But as there are so many, if you actually, for example, there is something about the BCM crisis management team, if you are ready and prepared, if you have them implemented or not, or just designed, or actually tested and validated. So this is kind of a variety of the answer you can have here, and based on that you answer the KPIs or metrics.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for this answer, Kai. Any other questions?
There is a second question. So Mohammed, I think this one is targeting you. How does operational resilience differ from traditional business continuity? Very good question.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I think this is very good question. Thank you, Kai, for sharing this question. So I think the business continuity is about recovery. So in case of disruption, so we need to maybe doing or executing our recovery plan, disaster recovery plan, crisis management plan. So we can consider the business continuity is a reactive mode. This is actually in terms of recovery, to recover your business in a very quick manner. But on the other side, the resiliency is about keep monitoring and keep evolved to be more adaptable, more proactive, and actually continue improving your adaptability against any kind of changes. So this is actually the main difference between the business continuity and the resiliency. And by the way, there is an intersection between both of them. So with, as you mentioned, Kai, in your framework, BCM is one of the components in the resiliency index. So even it's actually is for recovery, but actually it can be as an iterative mode to feed in the resiliency framework in order to have the lesson learned, the improvements, and the kind of enhancements that need to be considered in our or the organization resiliency index framework. I hope this answer will be enough for this question. And I think if Tahir and Yuka need to add anything, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I would continue with the third question we just have received, and in case the second one wasn't answered in total, please use Q&A again, give us a ping. So there's a third question. Youssef, I think this one is for you. What are some best practices you followed when implementing the Saudi National Resilience Index or an index framework for clients? So
Okay,
best practices.
Yeah, that's it will probably sound like a cliche, but that's another good question. So we have a very clever audience here. Actually, to answer this question, we have I will answer this question, but to start with, we have created a booklet called 7 Habits, which we will be sharing with you as well, where we go through the best practice. I think you heard me mention that we have implemented the solution for 17 projects so far. So we have combined all of that into a best practice. We call it 7 Habits of Implementing Corporate as a Solution. But to answer the question now, there are various things that we take as a best practice. First of all, when we are in the explore phase and we go through the blueprint, it needs to be a very clear blueprint. Like I said, when we come into the explore phase, we don't come in with a blank canvas, because sometimes stakeholders, they don't know what they don't know. And you need to come in with some best practices, some implementations that you've seen. Like I said, the graphical interface is very important for the users, and the blueprint needs to be clear. Once the blueprint is clear and the customers and the stakeholders know exactly what to expect, this is the best recipe for getting the project live and also for adoption after that. Also, as I mentioned, we use Agile. It's very important as well from my experience with our customers. The iterative communication with the stakeholders is very important, which also lead me to also say that we need to ensure that the business users are involved early. Again, in the blueprint where we are together, we explain to them things and everything, but also because they are with us along the journey, so they can see the project with us. They don't just have a kickoff meeting and then eventually 4 months later the project is live. Doesn't have a sense of ownership for the business user. So your business users needs to be part of your project throughout the journey. Also, the configuration, the corporator gives you flexibility in configuration, like Mohammed said, is low code, no code. But it's very important during the blueprints that the configuration is defined to what is actually required as a digital twin. In some cases, we have seen sometimes we came into projects which are not going as successful, and we realized that the definition or the definition of requirements was not set properly. So it's very important that you clearly know exactly that you're dealing with a digital twin and it's not replacing any operational tool. And I would add one last thing, which is regarding the adoption of the solution going forward, is to make sure that there is a proper support into it. From what we've seen, Corporator is one of the tools that we see the quickest adoption from a user endpoint, and it's very important that you have a proper support going after that. So I hope that answers the question. Like I said, we will be sharing the 7 habits of successfully implementing Corporator, and you will see more than what I just said now.
Thank you very much, Youssef. There was a sum up, so I think a question is answered. as we do not have any additional questions right now, I think we would close the session for today. Yusuf, you can close in a second, and please reach out to us. Here are some details. But Yusuf, your final words.
Thank you very much, Kai. I hope that we were successful in delivering to you the objective of today's meeting. And I repeat it, the end-to-end journey for your resilience index implementation, all the way from the creation of the framework to actually implementing it and seeing the benefit of it, is part us as a three company. Together, we will be able to manage all of that end to end and help you in that journey and help you with the go-to-market, the rapid go-to-market for you. In case you have any more questions, in case you want any demo, like Tahir mentioned, you want further demo, you have any questions you have in the screen right now, please feel free to reach to any one of us. Any one of us will be able to help you, whether it's regarding the implementation or regarding the solution or regarding the framework. You can reach any one of us and we will be able to help you. I think with this, we can wrap up this webinar. Like I mentioned, this is a first of many series. Watch this space, keep an eye, and we'll be able to, we will be communicating to you the next webinar that we will be doing in the next couple of months. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.